welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take sources you're curious about and really pull out the key insights for you.
That's right. And today we're diving into a really famous lecture, Russell H. Conwell's Acres of Diamonds. This is based on a text you shared with us.
Yeah, and our goal here isn't just, to look at some old self-help lecture.
No, not at all. We want to dig into what Conwell was really saying, why it still connects with people today, and maybe how it encourages a different way of looking at the world.
A way where opportunities might be hiding in plain sight.
Right. Exactly. Much closer than we often think.
Okay, so we'll start with the central story, the one that really anchors the whole thing, Ali Hafed. Then we'll get into his ideas about, well, opportunity, wealth, greatness.
And Conwell's own life, too, which is pretty remarkable in itself and ties into all of this.
Absolutely. Okay, let's unpack this. Where do we begin?
Well, the lecture really kicks off with this story about Ali Hafed. He's described as an ancient Persian farmer living near the Indus River.
And he was doing okay, wasn't he? Like, content.
Yeah, apparently quite well. Had a good farm, orchards, gardens, the whole setup. He was, comfortable.
Right. Then someone comes along, a priest.
Yes, a visiting Buddhist priest. And he starts telling Ali Hafed all about diamonds, how they're formed, their incredible value, how finding a diamond mine could make him unbelievably wealthy. He even calls a diamond a congealed drop of sunlight.
Wow, okay. That's quite a description. Poetic, almost.
It is, and it totally captivates Ali Hafed. He gets completely fixated on finding diamonds.
So fixated that he does something pretty drastic.
Oh, absolutely. He sells his farm, gathers up all his money, leaves his family.
Leaves his family, wow.
Yeah, and sets off on this massive quest across the world searching for these diamond mines.
And let me guess, it doesn't end well.
Not at all. It's actually quite tragic. He wanders for years, faces incredible hardship, near starvation.
Oh, man.
And eventually, penniless and despairing, he dies by suicide in a foreign land. Never found a single diamond.
Oof. That's heavy. Such a stark contrast to where he started. It really hits home, that irony.
It really does. And then the Arab guide who's telling Conwell this story delivers the punchline, the moral of it all.
Okay.
He apparently gestures and says, look, if Ali Hafed had just stayed home, if he dug in his own cellar or his own garden or even under his field,
He would have found.
he would have found acres of diamonds, literally.
You're kidding, on his own farm.
On his own farm. Turns out the property he sold was incredibly rich in diamonds. Some apparently even ended up in, royal crowns.
Get out. That's unbelievable. So the very thing he spent his life and fortune chasing elsewhere.
Was right there.
Yeah.
Right where he started. That's the core message Conwell builds on.
Okay, so it's a powerful story. But Conwell connects this to more modern times too, right?
He does. He gives examples closer to home for his audience, like this rancher in California, sitting on land, completely unaware of
Unaware of what?
gold. A fortune in gold right under his feet. It wasn't discovered until his daughter casually brought some sandy water from a stream inside, and a visitor spotted gold flakes.
No way. Just like that.
Just like that. And they eventually pulled out something like $38 million worth of gold from just a few acres.
38 million from land he just lived on. Wow.
Yeah. Then there's another story. A farmer in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
This guy was obsessed with the idea of making money from coal oil up in Canada. That was his big dream, the distant opportunity.
Right, so he focused on Canada.
And sold his Pennsylvania farm for peanuts, like $833.
Oh no, I see where this is going.
Yep. The new owner almost immediately strikes oil, and the clue. A simple plank the first farmer had put across a stream for his cows. It was damming up a little bit of oil, making it visible.
So the evidence was literally right there.
Yeah.
Created by the guy who sold the farm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He was so busy looking far away, he missed the wealth bubbling up under his own feet. Conwell points out how we laugh at these stories. But maybe we're making similar mistakes. Just, overlooking opportunities right around us.
That makes sense. Which leads him to this bold claim about Philadelphia, right? His hometown.
Yeah, he tells his audience right there in Philly that their city holds acres of diamonds. And by extension, he means your city, your community, wherever you are listening.
Okay, but people must have thought he was crazy, right? Like, diamonds. Here.
Oh, absolutely. He even anticipates that, saying something like, you can't know much about your city if you think there aren't acres of diamonds here.
So he wasn't talking about literal diamonds anymore.
Not necessarily. He pivots. Acres of diamonds becomes a metaphor for untapped potential, needs that aren't being met, problems waiting for solutions, opportunities for success, and yes, wealth right in your local area.
So the value is in recognizing the needs around you.
Precisely. He says your community has everything that actual diamond mines would be good for to you. It's about finding the value, not just the physical gems.
Interesting. He even mentioned something about how people viewed jewels changing.
Yeah, a little aside about the Queen of England complimenting an American woman for not wearing loads of flashy jewels. It kind of hints that true value might be shifting. It's not always about the obvious, ostentatious stuff.
Okay, so find local opportunities. Got it. But then Conwell says something potentially controversial.
Yes. The duty to get rich part. He straight up says, you ought to get rich, and it is your duty to get rich.
Which definitely rubs some people the wrong way, even today. Feels a bit materialistic.
It can sound that way for sure, but his reasoning is specific. He argues that making money honestly is like preaching the gospel.
How so? What's the connection?
Well, his logic is that wealth, earned ethically, gives you the power to do good things, to help people, build institutions, make a positive impact. He pushes back hard against the idea that rich people are automatically dishonest or greedy.
Right, he mentions finding very best people in character among the wealthy.
Exactly. And he even connects things like homeownership to good character, suggesting it fosters honor, thrift, stability. It's about having roots and responsibility.
Okay, but what about religious objections, like money is the root of all evil?
He tackles that head on. He clarifies it's the love of money, the idolization, putting it above everything else, using it badly, that's the root of evil. Not money itself, money used well. That's a different story in his view.
So recognizing opportunities is one thing, but acting on them to build wealth.
Yeah.
He saw that as almost a moral positive.
Yeah, provided it's done honestly and with the intent to do good. It's about harnessing resources for positive ends.
Okay. So how do we get better at recognizing these nearby opportunities then?
Well, he gives some simple examples, like his father's country store. He remembered, as a boy, constantly telling customers, nope, we don't have jackknives. Turns out there was huge local demand for jackknives. They just weren't listening or paying attention to what people were actually asking for. A missed opportunity right there.
Such a basic thing, but it makes the point. Know your community's needs.
Exactly. Then there's a story about a woman needing capital for a business instead of complex loans.
Yeah.
A local man just offered to set her up. The solution was right there in her network.
Simple, direct, local. And Conwell contrasts this earned success with just inheriting money, right?
Yes, he talks about the potential curse of unearned wealth, suggesting it doesn't build character the same way. He values things like education, friendships, reputation, things you develop much more highly. Those are the real assets.
Makes sense. So it takes common sense then to spot these things.
Huge emphasis on common sense. He uses John Jacob Astor as an example. Astor didn't just throw money at his millinery business.
What did he do?
He first figured out exactly what kind of bonnets ladies actually wanted. He understood the need before producing the supply. That knowledge was more valuable than his initial capital.
So understand the demand. Simple, but crucial.
Right. And another lovely story, a carpenter in Hingham, Massachusetts. He wanted to start a toy business.
Okay.
His market research. He asked his own kids what toys they liked. Figured if they liked them, other kids would too.
Huh. That's brilliant in its simplicity. Judge the human heart by oneself, as Conwell put it.
Exactly. And this ties into another story, a woman who heard his lecture and immediately thought of a better design for a collar button.
Literally an opportunity right under her nose or chin.
Precisely. Your wealth is too near to you, Conwell would say.
You know, it's interesting. He also goes out of his way to mention female inventors. That feels pretty forward-thinking for his time.
It does. He explicitly challenges the notion that women don't invent things. He rattles off a list contributions to the jacquard loom, the printing press roller, the cotton gin.
This is General Green, right?
That's the one. And Elias Howe's wife influencing the sewing machine. A woman in West Virginia figuring out the mower reaper principle. Women inventing trolley switches, improving iron squeezers.
Wow. Quite a list. It broadens the definition of who an inventor is.
Totally. He argues that these great inventors are often just plain, everyday people, but their neighbors don't see it. You never see anything great over your back fence, he says. We tend to overlook the talent right next door.
He had that anecdote about General Garfield, too, didn't he? Famous guy, but just Jim to his neighbors.
Yeah, illustrates the same point. Greatness isn't always obvious or loud.
He even met Lincoln, apparently.
Briefly, yeah, during the Civil War. And what struck him was Lincoln's incredible focus. Whatever task was at hand, Lincoln poured his entire mind into it until it was done. No distractions.
That intense concentration. Conwell saw that as part of greatness.
Yes. And he contrasted that kind of greatness doing important things with whatever means you have with just chasing political office or waiting for some huge crisis like a war to prove yourself.
So be great here, now, in your own sphere.
That's the message. Find your greatness in your current situation, in your community. Don't reach for the perfect, distant opportunity.
And Conwell's own life sort of mirrors this, doesn't it? He wasn't just one thing.
Not at all. He was a farmer's boy, teacher, journalist, soldier, lawyer, preacher, lecturer, author, and then founder of Temple University and hospitals. Talk about seizing opportunities.
He really did seem to make things happen, make things interesting, as the text says.
Yeah. And there's that pivotal story from the Civil War about John Ring.
Oh, right. The soldier who saved his sword.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ring was deeply religious and sacrificed his life for Conwell. It profoundly impacted Conwell, led him to vow to live both his life and the life Ring lost. He committed to working 16 hours a day.
16 hours, wow. And that spurred his faith journey, too.
Apparently so, a major turning point. And despite his own early struggles, financial ups and downs, he was always encouraging others.
Setting aside time for the poor, being a guardian to dozens of kids.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing dedication.
It really is. And his connections to history are interesting, too, knowing John Brown, his memories of Lincoln. It adds another layer.
But maybe his biggest legacy is Temple University.
Arguably, yeah. Starting with one student who just wanted to learn at night.
And growing into this huge institution specifically aimed at working people, people who might not otherwise get a chance at higher education, practical education.
Absolutely reflects his core philosophy, empowering people with the tools they need right where they are.
And he kept up that incredible work ethic his whole life.
Right to the end, it seems. Packed schedule, constant activity. But apparently quite modest, always giving credit to others.
And the lecture itself? Acres of Diamonds. 5,000 times.
Over 5,000, yeah. And all the money he earned from it went to help students. He even funded students anonymously out of his own pocket.
That's incredible. He really lived his message.
He certainly seemed to. Which brings us back to the core takeaway, I suppose.
Yeah, wrapping this up, the central idea is still pretty powerful, isn't it? That potential, those acres of diamonds, they could be right here, in your own life, your own town.
It just requires maybe a shift in perspective, looking closely, paying attention, and then, putting in the work. Diligent effort, as he'd say.
It's about spotting those hidden opportunities, figuring out what people around you actually need.
And then acting purposefully. The stories he tells in his own life, they all point to that.
So maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to mull over.
Yeah.
What acres of diamonds might be sitting there in your life or in your community right now, waiting, not just money maybe, but potential needs, opportunities to make a difference?
Right. Reflecting on Conwell's message beyond just the financial aspect, where's the untapped value right around you? Something to think about.